tearing out pieces of me to replace the broken pieces of you. Tearing out.
Hello, wealthy family, and welcome to today's Mindset Monday. Thank you for coming and sharing some time with me. Welcome, new subscribers. I love and appreciate you all. If you are new here, you may not be familiar with my grandfather, Mr. Ruben Campbell, who was 102 years old. He passed on Friday here in my home with me, which I'm grateful that he was here. So, in his memory, there's the ancestors confirming. In his memory, I just want to take a moment of silence, just a couple seconds, to recognize the greatness of his legacy. Thank you for sharing that with me. So, today's video, we are going to talk about 8 things that I learned from my grandfather, from his life. 8 things that helped shape my mentality. And these are things that he's personally told me and things that I just observed and discerned from watching him, but nonetheless, they are still lessons from my grandfather. So, first, be peaceable in all things, but stand your ground. My grandfather was about peace, but he did have his stubborn streak. His birthday was recognized May 22nd, which would have made him a Gemini, but he was actually born April 13th. He was born in 1920, all right, in Jamaica. So please understand it's a whole different dynamic back then. And he said the reason why his birth certificate said May 22nd was because his grandmother didn't have the quarter to go register his birth. So his actual birthday is April 13th, which made him an Aries. And you know that they have a humble, somewhat naive side about them, their external world. But they are very stubborn. They do have their feisty streak, and that was my grandfather. But he was a man of faith. He believed in having peace. He did not like quarrel. He did, say what he had to say in the way that he felt it needed to be said, but he kept it peaceable. But he didn't back down. If he felt he was right on something, he may make a face and tell you something, but he's going to do it peacefully. And I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that about him. Second, stay grounded. Now, my grandfather was in agriculture his whole entire life. His parents were farmers. They had a farm in Jamaica. But even his land, his property here, like full of fruit trees, sugarcane, pears, lemons, oranges, papaya, sorrel, collard greens, peppers, potatoes, beans, just all types of stuff. He grew so much on his acres. He had 4 acres, 4 lots. And it was just full of life, and I absolutely loved that. And he worked it with his hands. See, gardening, being out, being one with Mother Earth is all about staying grounded. Okay, remembering where you come from, appreciating the efforts that go into sustaining life. All right, having that fresh air always circulating through your lungs. When he was told that he should no longer go outside as much because he was prone to falling and he couldn't see about how his land was being taken care of, I saw that take a toll on him. Right, having the sunshine gleaming on you, taking in the rays, the vitamin D, that is so important. He was born in Jamaica. He traveled a lot in Europe and settled here finally in the States. But one thing he said why he couldn't stay in Europe is because they didn't have the sun. They didn't have the sun, and he did not, it didn't call him. So stay grounded in all that you do. Number 3, eat to live. Like I said, he farmed the land. He tilled the land. He took and he gave. It was a complete cycle. And he ate to live. He would eat wieners, like what he would call, because remember, he was born in 1920. Okay, he went through some wars. He's seen depression. He's seen some things. Okay, so he always ate to live. He would eat his meats, but he would be mindful of where they came from. He always had fruits or vegetables, right? Yam or potato or banana, right? He'd always make some soup, right? That was his favorite thing. I'm just gonna make some soup. Give me some chicken back in. Let me make the soup, right? Absolutely love it. Loved it. Number 4, always give back from the heart. When I moved to Lakeland and he realized how close we were, he was ecstatic. He was ecstatic. And he would stop by with groceries. And even though the dynamic was different, I was working and sometimes I was busy. I may not have had as much time as I did once I quit my job and was able to be with him more. But he always gave back from his heart. You know, if he went to grocery shop, he'd buy 2 pack of crackers, one for him, one for us, right? Even if I didn't need it. We go out to the store and he's like, you know, let me get some flowers for my wife, right? Because she was not bedridden, but she couldn't really get around too much. She has rheumatoid arthritis. And you know, he would get out, do the shopping, do the cooking, do the cleaning. He did all of that right up until like 99 or 100 is when I believe they were like, okay, yeah, no more cooking. They wanted to limit his cooking. I think the last time he cooked was 102 because he burnt something. And they're like, okay, yeah, no more, grandpa. Okay, but you know, he was in his own home. He would cook, he would clean, he would do all of that, right? He always gave from the heart. He would bake some banana bread. If it didn't come out right, he'd do it again and then come back and tell me, hey, go get this banana bread. I made some banana bread, right? Store it. Here, I made some jelly. Here's some jams, right? He used to make pear jelly, just all types of stuff, but always gave from the heart. I the other day brought him some avocados and he's like, well, bring me a couple more so I can give to so-and-so, right? Just always giving from the heart. So gracious. Number 5, keep up hygiene. His house was older, but he had like that old bathtub, clawfoot tub. Then he had like a old toilet in there. But he always would catch his basin and shave and get a haircut up until the time where he could barely talk, right? Which was only a couple of days, right? He wasn't sickly like that. The story of how my grandfather passed was a little bit heartbreaking, but I was happy in the way in which it went, and I have to be grateful. He stayed with me till 102. Okay, so I have to be grateful for that. But he always kept up his hygiene. Up until the last couple of days, he was like, I want my toenails to cut. He's like, my toenails need to cut. And he's diabetic, so we had to cut it a certain way. He's like, I need to get my toenails cut, right? Before he came over to my house, before the storm, the nurse came and shaved him up and, you know, did his beard and things like that. But always keep up your hygiene. It's so important. Like, I've seen, you know, he had like 8 teeth left, but he would brush them things, right? It was so important. His dentures, he made sure he brushed his dentures. He always kept up with his hygiene. And there's so many people that don't keep up with that. Okay, it's important. You want to live long, you got to keep up with your hygiene. You got to keep your body up and at 'em, right? Always take pride in yourself. When he left, he always had his hat on. He always had his hat on. He always had his button-up shirt. He had his slacks. He made sure he had his belt on or his suspenders, right? Made sure his clothes were pressed. You never seen him come out with wrinkles. Sometimes, you know, I don't like to iron. I throw my stuff in the dryer. I have a sign in my laundry room that says I do all of my ironing in the dryer. Like, I don't like to iron, but he always was like, look, we have to present. When we had his birthday party at 101, when we had his 101 birthday party, he came out sharp, right? Stepping, fresh, ready to go, right? So keep up your hygiene. When you look good, you feel good. Number 6, keep him on the toes. Grandpa always had a one-liner, or he always had a joke about something. He always had a one-hit acquittal, okay? And even in his death, he had something for him. He always had something for him. He got one more gotcha bitch in his pocket. Like, I like it. I love it. but keep him on his toes. You got to stay sharp whenever you're around others, right? Sometimes he would recall certain things. You're like, man, how you remember that? That was like 50 years ago. How you remember that? Right? Keep them sharp. Keep them on the toes. Keep them guessing, right? Never let a person try to figure out or think they got you pegged or think they got your pattern. No, I'm always ever evolving and changing. Number 7, allow leeway in your obligations. So, um, he would tell me that there are certain things that he still did out of obligations, right? He promised that he would do certain things, so he was a man of his word, and dag nabbit, he was going to stick to it. So, um, when he was fulfilling his obligations, he always would say, it's okay as long as I do X, right? So let's say he's like, okay, well, I promised every Friday I would feed my wife fish, but I don't want to eat fish every Friday. I'm going to do something else. So I'm obligated to feed her this. This is what I said I'm going to do, but I'm going to go get this for myself. Or I promised I'd always take care of XYZ. So I'm always going to take care of it, but I'm going to do it on my own time frame. Or I'm not going to allow my life to be put on hold. Let's make sure that other people can step in and have a rotation, right? Always have leeway in your obligations. If for some reason you feel that you have to do something because it's the right thing to do or you promise that you would do it, don't put your life on hold because of that one thing. Still find time for yourself. Do the things that you love. Allow yourself to still live. Give yourself some leeway. And number 8, last but not least, be flexible in your beliefs. Grandpa was a God-fearing man. That's why I wore my God-fearing shirts. My biblical shirt, right? Hold on. It says, thou shalt not try me. Taken from the book of Mood, chapter 24, verse 7. Yes, yes. So, you're not going to try me, right? You're not going to play me for boo boo the fool, all right? He was a God-fearing man. He believed in Jesus, but he knew Christmas wasn't real. He knew the story of Jesus wasn't what it was made out to be. He knew the church wasn't always saying things absolutely correct. He was flexible in his beliefs. He believed that, a woman and a man should have a traditional relationship, but he wouldn't scorn if you had a child out of wedlock. He wouldn't scorn you if you decided you wanted to eat pork, right? Things like that. He was flexible in what it is that he believed. He wasn't allowing himself to be put in a square, rigid box. A lot of people, when we have our beliefs, oh, excuse me, sorry, that wind blowing that pollen. A lot of the times when people have their beliefs, they won't waver in any way. No, I believe this, so I can't do this. No, right? Although he was a Christian and Baptist, he was both religions, but he wouldn't criticize if someone else from another religion would want to come and talk to them. For example, Jehovah's Witness, right, which is my mom's religion, and some of his good friends, he said, were witnesses, and they'd want to come talk to him, and he would still talk with them and not just be like, I believe this, so I can't do this, right? And I love that about him. He was fluid. He was like, whatever, I'll just go with the flow. It is what it is, because remember, we're peaceable in all things, okay? So that is all that I have for you today, wealthy family. I love and appreciate you all. Thank you, everyone who reached out with the condolences. I did see the emails. There's a couple people text me. I appreciate that. Shout out to the person who shot me a donation. I appreciate that as well. His funeral is in 2 weeks on October the 15th. And, it's going to be a celebration. We are celebrating his life. He gave so many people so much life and such rich experiences. So I am grateful for that. And with that being said, before these tears fall, with that being said, may my grandfather rise in power. And I hope that his life at the end was full of grace and not regret. Until we connect again, wealthy family, stay alert, stay aware, and live in love.